Hey, what's up, Street Gods? It's Eric from the Eric from Street Photography blog. So, I want to share with you some turbo thoughts on in praise of an ascetic lifestyle, or the idea of that an ascetic lifestyle is more sexy and it's better. So, the first and foremost question is, what does ascetic mean? So, A-S-C-E-T-I-C, not the other one. It actually comes originally from the Greek word ascesis, I don't know Greek. But the idea meant training. And it's interesting because back in Cynic philosophy or Stoic times, ascesis was a virtue that you became stronger through exercise and training. So kind of like we lift heavier weights at the gym to become stronger, they used to use Stoic mental cognitive things to become stronger mentally, to overcome fear, aversion, and so forth. And now, in modern times, we're taught to be more prudent, to be more economical and frugal. I've actually never really liked the word frugal because it kind of is tied up with this idea of being like cheap or being a Scrooge, and it's kind of not like sexy. It's not a nice word. Rather, I don't really hear a lot of people saying the word ascetic anymore. Like to live an ascetic lifestyle, it's kind of an outdated word. We generally think of like monks or like these hermits who, self-flagellate themselves, which means like taking ropes and whipping themselves in the back. And they're like, oh, I'm such a sinner and I'm so bad. And it's generally quite morbid if you think about people who live an ascetic lifestyle. But, generally in modern times, you just look at priests, they live a pretty ascetic lifestyle. Obviously, assuming you're a Catholic priest, you don't marry, you don't have any really many possessions or things or stuff like that. And actually the benefit is that it allows them to just focus on their mission of doing their thing, right? And so I wondered, what if we could make the notion of living an ascetic lifestyle not as like the abnegation to negate yourself or self-denial, but what if we made it something that's actually kind of sexy, where it's actually desirable or better to live an ascetic lifestyle where you actually pride yourself on not needing to buy shit and knowing that you actually derive your sources of joy not through consumerism and buying shit, but rather producerism, making stuff, and essentially using not being able to buy stuff as a creative constraint, where if you know that you can't just buy something to solve your problem, it actually forces you to be a little more creative. So for example, and this is one of the benefits of growing up poor, is that you learn how to just do everything yourself. So for example, growing up, my mom didn't have much, I didn't have much or anything. So when I bought my car, I learned to be an entrepreneur, to, hustle on the side, selling computers, teaching English, and saving up my pennies to buy my first car, a 1991 Sentra XE, 4-door, 5-speed, and I bought for like $1,200. And I freaking learned how to work on my car. Like I learned how to change my own oil because, I could save a few bucks here and there. I learned how to fix my engine. I learned to like soup it up, right? Like kind of like Fast and the Furious style where, I put on headers, exhaust, intake, whatever. And so it was actually something I took a lot of pride in because I would build my own things rather than just being other people like going out and buying stuff. So like even in high school, I had a lot of pride in my car, even though other kids drove like Subaru STIs and Beamers, whatever like that, is that I felt more pride that I actually built it myself, and also I purchased it myself and I hustled for it. And it was actually like a positive sense of joy rather than a resentment thing. Because I think the problem with a lot of people who live an ascetic lifestyle or who live a more frugal or economic lifestyle, there's always a little bit of hidden malice or envy or jealousy in other people. So like, this is the question. If you see somebody promoting an ascetic, frugal, economical lifestyle, are they only saying that because they're secretly jealous of the guy driving around in the pink Lamborghini? Or do they genuinely prefer it for themselves? And this is where Aesop's cognitive grapes fallacy is interesting, is that, there's the story of a fox. Fox is just doing its foxy thing and sees some grapes. All right, cool, the microphone's on. So the fox sees some grapes, but the grapes are beyond some thorn bushes. So these grapes are so plump, they're nice and golden, they're just falling to the ground because they're so heavy with sweetness. So the fox tries to go out and it's like, oh, and then gets poked by the thorns. Ouch! Right? It goes for the grapes again. Ouch! And essentially cannot reach the grapes because the thorns are too painful, and the fox is all like cut up and bleeding and walks away and wagging his tail between the tail, saying, "Oh, the grapes were probably sour anyways. I didn't want it." And this is an interesting notion of this cognitive grapes fallacy, cognitive bias, where it's easy for us to fool ourselves based on ability and our power. So for example, the guy who decides like, I live so frugally and I just drive like an old Honda Accord, and those guys driving the pink Lamborghini is so stupid because I'm superior. So like the question is the guy saying that because he doesn't have the ability to become rich and drive a pink Lamborghini? Or maybe he actually been super rich, has been a stockbroker in the past and discovered he actually prefers to live a more frugal lifestyle? Or is he saying that out of envy, spite, malice, because it's the cognitive grapes fallacy, where it's like he only looks at richer people or people with more expensive things and says, oh, that's a worse lifestyle because the guy himself couldn't have afforded it anyways, and thus everything that's outside your reach, you put it in you cast it into a negative light. So this is actually a very important thing in life, because when it comes to our true preferences, it takes an insane amount of self-wisdom, self-reflection, and introspection to think to yourself, what do you really want for yourself out of your life, for you to live the best possible life for yourself according to your own standards and what you want out of life. So once again, living a frugal or an ascetic lifestyle, I don't think it should be something that, it should always be a personal choice, not a necessity. What I mean to say is this: you could be a rich person making a bunch of money and you purposely decide to live an ascetic lifestyle because you generally prefer it, rather than the whole like Protestant work ethic, puritanical Quaker guilt of like, oh, I shouldn't waste my money because it's not prudent. No, you should only choose an aesthetic economical lifestyle because it is your decision to do so, not like other people saying, oh, he's so flat. Like, so for example, I'll give you a practical example. If I was a Google executive or working at Goldman Sachs or I don't know, some company, right? And let's say I'm a executive and I'm making a bunch of money. And if I had the money, dude, of course I would go out and buy the pink Lamborghini. But a lot of people want to buy the pink Lamborghini, but they don't buy the pink Lamborghini because they're worried about being judged as being like too flashy. So it's funny because like in the Bay Area, especially Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, whatever, it's only like, let's say you're rich, right? It's only tasteful to buy a Tesla because it's like good for the environment. And let's say you could buy a P100D because that's like the best car you get without being too flashy. Fuck it, like if I had the option, I'd buy the pink Lamborghini and maybe I have a Tesla on the side, but I'd personally probably want the Lamborghini because I think it just looks cooler. And that would be probably my true preference. Who knows? I've never driven a Lamborghini, so I don't know how good they are or whatever, but I think they just look cooler. But anyways, so when you decide to live an aesthetic lifestyle, treat it kind of more of like a training thing to make you stronger. And it doesn't mean for you to never buy anything ever, because obviously how do I say this? You want to put yourself in the best beneficial, most positive, like best thing for you possible. So for example, I make my living through blogging and teaching workshops and photography, right? So I'm not gonna purposely go out and buy like some shitty Windows PC laptop, just be like, oh, I want to save money and spending money is bad. No, fuck it, I go out. This is actually pretty smart. I bought a refurbished 13-inch MacBook Pro, maxed out, and I bought refurbished because I knew I would get a huge price discount, but I still wanted the best laptop money could buy. And instead of spending like $3,000, I spend $2,000. And yeah, and I love that machine to death because I do so much of my work on it. And even, it's funny because now, right now, my buddy Aaron Fetzer sent me a Fujifilm XF10, and it's technically only $500. And I've also shot with the Ricoh GR2 a lot in the past, which is also like $500 now. And I own like a $10,000 Leica. I generally prefer shooting with the point and shoot cameras rather than shoot with my $10,000 Leica. And this is just like a personal revealed preference. Like my true preference is that the cost of it doesn't really matter. It's more of like what's more practical for my daily lifestyle. And of course, I'll still shoot with my Leica if I'm focusing more on shooting street photography, and I still love shooting film. But right now it's just kind of inconvenient because I don't really know a good place to process my film and get a scan, whatever. Something I'll figure out a little bit later. But anyways, so with whatever you do with your life, you just determine yourself. Let's say, you like to buy really expensive watches, or you like to drive a Lamborghini, or you like to wear something. If you want it and you like it, go ahead and buy it. Like if it makes you happy and if you like it. So know that it's interesting because, who knows, maybe you really like expensive, like technological things, go out and buy it. But let's say you want to be really frugal with where you live or what you spend on food. It all just comes down to your personal values. Like, what do you think is worth it and what do you think is not worth it? So for example, for me, let's say I go out and I buy $100 steak and it's the best steak I've ever eaten. I'd still feel like a fucking idiot because like it just feels stupid. I'm like, dude, okay, it was a really good steak and I spent $100 on it. But to me, it's not worth it for me because I'd rather spend $13 and eat all you can eat Korean barbecue. And even though the quality of the food isn't as good, I get more pleasure from the dynamic range of the bang to the buck, like getting more for less than that, right? And so similarly too, this is actually funny, is I haven't owned a phone for the last like 2 years-ish, right? So, I went to the Apple store and I was testing out the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max, whatever. And I was thinking about buying it because I thought it would be a good device. But still my gut reaction tells me not to buy it. Not because I can't afford it or I'm worried about wasting money. It's just like, it just doesn't seem like it's worth it. Like at the moment, me and Cindy, we share an old Samsung Galaxy S7, and the newest iPhone isn't 10 times better than, so it just doesn't seem like it's worth it. And actually, I probably pride myself more on. It's kind of like a weird flex in the sense that, to me, to be able to virtue signal that I don't own a phone or I don't have a phone seems like actually a better way to show off than to be like, I have the newest iPhone. And once again, this is just kind of a personal thing, but then to backtrack once again, I don't think living a more ascetic lifestyle should be a way to virtue signal to be like, oh, I am such a good person and I'm so virtuous because I don't spend any money on anything. Whereas you guys going out and buying Louis Vuitton purses and all this other stupid shit, I am a better person than you. No, it's when you see other people living their lifestyle according to how they want to live for themselves, like, let them be, just let them do their shit, like, and no need to judge them. It's just like, if it makes them happy, like, good for them. If anything, what I would recommend is, whatever virtues we keep for ourselves, we should actually not tell other people about. You just kind of live your life and just make sure that others just kind of like leave you alone. Like, this is actually the weird thing is that, I generally tend to proselytize or evangelize. I mean, that's just kind of my nature. Cause like I discover some sort of new thing or lifestyle or idea, and I'm just like so excited about it, is I just want to share this joy, this wisdom with other people. And I still do because, I blog and I make these videos where like that. But still, I don't think I want it to be this thing that like, I have the best answer, which is best for everybody, which is what Immanuel Kant said with his categorical imperative. No, I've discovered what's the best for me, or at least better for me. And I'm just sharing the idea because I think it could help you, but realistically, it probably won't. It might, but even that 1% chance of it perhaps helping you, to me, it's worth me sharing this, these ideas and this information. And so, I forgot what I was talking about, but anyways, I think if anything, with whatever your lifestyle is, I would actually try to keep it hidden. So I was going to talk about this. So for example, I personally don't eat breakfast or lunch. I don't tell other people to not eat breakfast or lunch in my family or in real life. And I personally don't eat sugar. I don't eat simple carbs. I don't eat dessert. I don't drink alcohol. I don't think alcohol is a bad thing. It's just, I just can't tolerate it that well. And so it's funny because like let's say the whole family or other people are all just eating dessert or drinking. You know, I don't say anything. And they're like, oh, you know, Eric, you're not eating dessert? I'm like, no, I'm okay. And they're like, oh, you know, like, why don't you have dessert? I'm like, oh, just, I don't eat sugar or I don't eat desserts. I don't need it. Right? And I don't say it as a way to virtual signal that I'm better than other people, but people say, oh, isn't your diet too extreme? So essentially what ends up happening is that people think that I'm secretly judging them in a negative way, but I'm just like, no, it's like, you can eat all the fucking cake you want. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not any value judgment on you or anything. It's like, do what makes you happy. If you want to eat soda and stuff, like, that's cool, but it's not what's best for me. And I don't want it for myself. But then everyone starts to take the cake or alcohol and try to shove it down your throat. They're like, come on, man, don't be a pussy, have a beer. Or like, you know, eat some cake. Come on, it's okay, it won't hurt you. You're skinny already. I'm like, it's like, you do your thing. Just kind of leave me alone. It's okay. And like, even me, I go to the gym every day, sometimes even twice a day. And then like, sometimes people will criticize me. It's like, you go to the gym too much. But then the people who criticize me, they don't ever go to the gym. So what it is that it's not a value judgment on me. It's that person who's criticizing me. They feel guilty that they don't go to the gym. And therefore they feel like they want to make themselves feel better by somehow criticizing me. So once again, people's psychology is super strange. Like, I think the more I interact with other people, the more I really think about what other people are saying and what their motives are. It's very odd. But anyways. So what I mean to say is that we should seek to actually live a more selfish lifestyle onto ourselves. And if people ask us about it, then we tell them about it and tell us it benefits them. And this is actually one thing I actually like about being Catholic is that generally speaking, Catholics don't really evangelize that much. I mean, maybe in the past, obviously in the past we did and we're like killing people, which is really bad. But in modern day society, Catholics don't really evangelize. We just kind of mostly stick to ourselves and we just kind of do our own things. Whereas Protestant Christians tend to evangelize and try to turn everybody Protestant Christian, which I always thought was kind of not in good taste. And so I would actually encourage all of us to not be evangelists whenever possible, is that for us to kind of stick to ourselves, follow our own paths, try to figure out what's best for us. And then it's still tricky too, because like if you discover something that you think is super dope, you want to share it with other people, right? And so like if you find out that, you know, Nike is having a 95% off sale for the Yeezys, you want to tell all your buddies, right? Or you find out that there's a new digital camera that you really like I really like the XF10, you want to tell all your buddies about it, right? So I still think it's good for you to kind of spread the news and things that you might find helpful. But this is a practical tip. If you are going to evangelize or share the news or whatever, give people the option to say no. And if they say no, don't guilt them or don't make them feel bad about it. Just like, hey, you know, take it or leave it. And if you don't want to, that's cool. Like even I remember in college, my buddy Kevin, his atheist, agnostic, I'm not sure. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to mass. You want to come? He's like, no, I'm cool. I'm like, all right, cool. And I just left. And it wasn't more like, I can't believe he rejected me. He should at least try to go. It's like, no, you just give people the option. Yes or no, and if people are going to say no, just kind of leave them alone. So I think this kind of ethical things are very important for living in society. But anyways, I'm totally all over the place right now. So just to kind of recap, I would encourage you to think about whatever lifestyle you're living. Figure out if it's best for you. And also with this idea of living an ascetic lifestyle, it's actually, to me, beneficial because it gives me more freedom. It means I have to worry less about money. And so I'm just overall happier. I'm less stressed out. And I'm also more creative because rather than be like, oh, I was going to go out and buy that new thing. how can I already use the tools I already have right now and figure out some sort of way to hack it in a beneficial way, right? Also, for me, it's just kind of less stressful because the fewer things I own, the less stressed I am because there's less maintenance. And there's actually a nice quote, I forget who says it, is that the more things that you possess, the more things that own you. And regardless of whatever you own, whether it's your car, your home, there's always maintenance, there's always like kind of things. And to me, it's like, it's just kind of stressful. Like owning a house or owning a fancy car, it's not bad in itself, but to me, I just don't want it for myself because I don't want to have to deal with the maintenance and the BS associated with it. And yeah, just generally speaking, if you see somebody else living in a way which is contrary to the way what you approve, just leave them alone. It's like, you know, if someone's like doing something that you consider really, really bad for themselves, like if it's your best friend or your family member getting addicted to heroin, then of course intervene, that's a good intervention. But if it's like they like to eat cake and you see them getting fat or whatever, like, I don't know, maybe you can mention to them, it's like, oh, you know, and this is a hard thing too, you want to do it in a tasteful way, so like, oh, like, actually, no. If you see them getting fat and stuff like that, just leave them alone. If they come to you saying, hey, I'm trying to lose weight, how can I lose weight? Then you kind of help out. So when in doubt, leave people alone. Generally speaking, unsolicited advice, I think it's kind of bad taste. If you are going to give unsolicited advice, do it in a non-disparaging way, in a way not to just kind of degrade people. Yeah, man, we live in a crazy world, don't we, right? So once again, ascetic lifestyle is sexy. I like to do it for myself because it gives me more freedom and control over my life and I'm less stressed out, but it's probably not right for you. But figure out what's best for you. Always challenge yourself, question your own motives. If you find things that are useful, make videos, make your own YouTube channel, upload videos, share your own personal experiences. This is also a sentiment that I got, I was reading. It's a French moral philosopher. His name was, oh God. It starts with a V. Sorry, I can't even pronounce it. Essentially, he says, if every single author only wrote about his own experiences, books would be a lot less boring, more interesting, and a lot shorter. So this is just a personal thing for myself. Maybe an idea that could help you too is moving forward, whenever you make blog posts, videos, or talk with your friends, never talk about other people's experiences, only talk about your own experiences, because the world doesn't need a rehash of other people's experiences, and the world needs more of you. All right? So share your dopeness, make the world a better place, and make that big impact. Peace out.